There are billionaires in this country who pay a lower effective tax rate than a public school teacher, a nurse, or a construction worker. This isn't a rumor or a conspiracy theory. It's been confirmed in actual tax filings, and one of the most famous investors in the world has openly admitted his own tax rate was lower than his employees. Not because they're breaking the law, not because they have some secret offshore account hidden in a tropical island. They're doing something completely legal, completely out in the open, written directly into the tax code, and almost nobody understands how it actually works. By the end of this video, you will, and you might be a little annoyed once you see how simple it really is. Most of us grow up assuming taxes work in one simple, fair direction. The more money you make, the higher percentage you hand over. This is called a progressive tax system, and for wages, it's genuinely true. Earn more from your job, and a bigger slice of each additional dollar gets taxed at a higher rate, all the way up to 37% at the very top bracket. So naturally, it feels like billionaires should be standing on the highest possible step of that staircase, handing over the biggest percentage of anyone every single year without exception. Here's the twist nobody explains in school. That staircase only applies to one specific kind of money, the kind that shows up as a paycheck, also called earned income. And paychecks aren't actually how most billionaires make their money at all, which changes this entire picture more than most people realize. When you work a job, you get paid in wages, and the government taxes that income the moment you earn it. There's no way around it. It shows up on your paycheck, already taxed, before it even reaches your bank account. You can't choose to delay it, hide it, or postpone it for a more convenient year. Billionaires, on the other hand, usually don't take a large salary at all. Plenty of famous CEOs technically draw a salary of just $1 a year, almost as a symbolic gesture. Their actual wealth mostly exists as ownership in companies, stock that grows in value year after year as the business performs well, expands into new markets, and becomes more valuable to investors. And here's the critical detail. As long as they don't sell that stock, the growth is considered unrealized. On paper, they might be worth billions more than they were last year, but the tax code doesn't touch a single dollar of it because technically they haven't actually received any income. It's just a number on a screen getting bigger, with no transaction triggering any tax bill at all. Eventually, of course, billionaires do sell some of that stock. But even then, they're not taxed at the same rate as your paycheck. If you've held an investment for more than a year before selling it, the profit is taxed as a long-term capital gain at a maximum federal rate of 20% instead of the ordinary income rates that climb as high as 37%. Sell something you've only held for less than a year, and it gets taxed as ordinary income instead, which is exactly why patience matters so much in this entire equation. This lower rate exists on purpose. It's designed to encourage people to invest in businesses instead of just sitting on cash, since investment fuels growth, jobs, and innovation across the entire economy. But when you're talking about someone whose entire fortune is built on investment gains instead of salary, that lower rate ends up applying to nearly everything they ever make, while a worker's entire paycheck gets hit at the higher rate every single time, with no equivalent discount available anywhere in the process. Here's the strategy that actually explains most of this, and it's known informally as buy, borrow, die. Step 1. Buy assets, usually stock in a growing company, and just hold them, letting the value compound year after year. Step 2. Instead of selling that stock to fund a lifestyle, which would trigger capital gains tax, borrow against it instead. Banks are thrilled to lend billionaires money at relatively low interest rates, using their stock as collateral because the risk of them defaulting is basically zero when you're holding billions in assets as a guarantee. And here's the key detail that makes this so powerful. Borrowed money is not income. The government doesn't tax loans, no matter how large they are, because a loan is technically something you owe back, not something you earned. So a billionaire can fund an entire lifestyle, homes, cars, private planes, anything, using borrowed cash, pay relatively low interest on that loan, and never sell a single share, which means never triggering a taxable event at all. Meanwhile, the stock they used as collateral keeps growing in the background, often growing faster than the interest they're paying on the loan itself, which means the strategy can technically pay for itself indefinitely, year after year, for as long as the underlying business keeps performing well. So what happens to all those unrealized gains and outstanding loans eventually? This is where the third step comes in, die. It sounds almost too simple to be a real strategy, but it's the piece that ties everything together permanently. When the stock is passed down to heirs after death, something called a step-up in basis happens. For tax purposes, the heir's starting value for that stock resets to whatever it's worth on the day they inherit it, completely erasing decades of growth that was never taxed in the first place. That original purchase price from years or decades earlier simply disappears from the tax equation, as if the stock had always been worth its current price. The estate typically settles any outstanding loans using a portion of the assets, and the family can then sell the rest of the stock going forward, paying tax only on any future growth from that point on, not the growth that happened over the original owner's entire lifetime. An entire fortune's worth of investment gains, sometimes built up over 50 or 60 years, can pass to the next generation having never been taxed at all. To be clear, none of this is a loophole in the shady, illegal sense. It's literally how the tax code is written. Tax income, when it's earned, tax investment gains at a lower rate to encourage investing, treat loans as non-income because they have to be paid back, and reset the tax basis when assets pass to the next generation. Billionaires aren't cheating the system. They're simply structured by choice to benefit from it far more than someone earning a regular paycheck. You don't need a private banker or a stock portfolio worth billions to use the same underlying principle, though. Holding investments for more than a year before selling already qualifies you for that same lower long-term capital gains rate instead of your ordinary income rate. And using tax-advantaged accounts like a 401k or a Roth IRA lets your own investment growth compound largely untouched by taxes too. Smaller scale, same exact logic working in your favor, available to anyone with access to a basic brokerage account. The tax code doesn't actually reward being rich, even though it could feel that way. It rewards owning assets, holding onto them patiently, and not relying entirely on a paycheck for your income. And that underlying principle is available to absolutely anyone at any income level, starting today, not just billionaires with private bankers and stock portfolios worth billions. If this finally explained what felt unfair for years, subscribe. Next video, we're breaking down how crypto mining actually works and whether it's still worth doing in 2026. See you there.